An ordinary teenager, he decided to become a superhero, even though he had no special powers or training. He created a superhero suit and called himself Kick-Ass. Keep watching to know how, while he tried to fight crime, he gets tangled in a dangerous world far beyond his imagination. In the beginning of the movie, we get to know Dave Lazowski, who was a regular teenager who nobody really noticed at school, except for his two friends, Todd and Marty. He often thought about girls and had a crush on Katie Doma, but she didn't pay attention to him. His mom had died from an aneurysm, but unlike superheroes in comics who go through big changes after something bad happens, Dave's life stayed the same. At a comic book cafe, Dave wondered why no one tried to become a superhero in real life. Todd and Marty laughed and said it was silly unless someone had powers or lots of money. Just then, Chris D'Amico, the spoiled son of a mob boss named Frank D'Amico, walked into the store. Todd suggested they make friends with Chris, so people wouldn't bother them. They pushed Dave to talk to him, but when Dave tried, Chris's bodyguard scared him away. Later, Dave and Todd got robbed by two thugs. Dave saw someone watching from a window nearby but not helping, and it made him angry. This gave him the idea to become a superhero who would do what others wouldn't. He ordered a diving suit online and turned it into a superhero costume. From that moment, he started dreaming even more about being a hero and felt good about it. At the same time, Frank told his right-hand man, Joe, to torture one of his men who said someone like Batman attacked their dealers and took the drugs. Frank thought the man was lying and trying to keep the drugs, so he had him tortured and killed, then took his son Chris to the movies. Meanwhile, Damon McCready, a former cop, was training his 11-year-old daughter, Mindy. He had her wear a bulletproof vest and shot her to teach her about danger. After that, they went out for ice cream. Dave trained for a few weeks to become a superhero, but he was still afraid to jump between buildings. After his training, he saw the same guys who robbed him and Todd trying to break into a car. Dave was scared, but he changed into his costume and grabbed a baton. When he went back to face them, the robbers laughed at him, but Dave didn't give up. A fight started, and one of the robbers stabbed him before they ran away. Dave was hurt and stumbled into the street where a car hit him and then quickly drove away. When the ambulance came, Dave asked them to hide his superhero suit because he didn't want anyone to know. He was taken to the hospital without the suit. Meanwhile, Joe told Frank that the drugs weren't stolen by their associate. Chris tried to join the conversation because he wanted to learn about his dad's business, but Frank didn't let him, which upset Chris. Frank sent his men to deal with a Russian mobster. Dave broke many bones in the car accident, so now he had metal plates in his body to support him. His nerves were damaged too, so he couldn't feel pain like before. When he went back to school, he was surprised when Katie started talking to him. She asked him to hang out with her and her friend Erica, even offering to buy him coffee. Dave was excited but confused. When he told his friends, they explained that Katie liked to be friends with people who were seen as weak. There were also rumors going around school that Dave was gay because the police had found him without clothes after the accident. At first, Dave was shocked by the rumors, but he accepted them since it might be his only chance to get close to Katie. Even with all this going on, he still wanted to be a superhero. He added 2 batons to his costume and created a MySpace account for his superhero identity. Now, with his metal plates and his ability to handle pain, Dave was ready to be kick-ass again. One night, while patrolling, Dave saw a poster about a missing cat and decided to search for it. He found the cat sitting on a diner sign, but when he tried to climb up, he fell down. A man running by tripped over him and got caught by the people chasing him. Dave decided to help and started fighting the attackers. A person watching saw what was happening, and Dave told him to call 911. But instead, the guy went inside the diner and told everyone a superhero was fighting outside. Soon, people came to watch and record the fight. One of the thugs pulled out a knife and asked Dave if he was ready to die for a stranger. Dave said yes. He pointed out that they were being filmed, and the attackers ran away. The man who was being chased thanked him, and someone asked Dave who he was. He introduced himself as Kick-Ass. The video of Kick-Ass fighting the thugs quickly became the most watched clip online and was shared everywhere. Chris watched the news with his parents, and while he thought Kick-Ass was doing good, his father, Frank, said he wasn't skilled and would get killed. Damon and Mindy also watched the reports. Mindy thought Kick-Ass had potential, but Damon was not impressed. Dave kept helping people and got more fans through his website. One day, Katie told him about a drug dealer named Rasul, who was bothering her at the place where she volunteered. Dave convinced her to send a message to Kick-Ass asking for help. That night, Kick-Ass went to Rasul's place and warned him to stay away from Katie, threatening to break his leg. But the threat didn't work, and Rasul's gang surrounded him. Dave managed to tase Rasul in the forehead, but the gang pinned him down. Just when Rasul was about to stab him, Mindy, dressed as her superhero self, appeared and stabbed Rasul in the back with her weapon. She fought off the gang, while Kick-Ass moved out of the way. Mindy told him they were on the same team, but one of the gang members tried to sneak up on her. Damon, from a nearby building, shot the man in the head with a sniper rifle, surprising both Mindy and Kick-Ass. Mindy thanked Damon, took the gang's money, and left with him through the window to the rooftop. Mindy introduced herself as Hit Girl, and Damon, who was dressed like Batman on the other side of the building, was known as Big Daddy. Hit Girl jumped across the rooftops and escaped with Big Daddy, but Kick-Ass stayed behind because he was too scared to follow them. When Dave got home, he cried himself to sleep, thinking that they were the real superheroes while he was just a fool in a costume. Joe brought Frank a picture taken by one of their dead men showing Big Daddy. Since they didn't know who he was, Joe suggested that it might be Kick-Ass, thinking he was the one fighting their group. Frank, furious, ordered Joe to get rid of Kick-Ass. Later that night, Big Daddy and Hit Girl broke into Dave's room and told him they found him easily by tracking his website's IP address. Dave told them that he was planning to stop being Kick-Ass, but they said if he ever needed help, he should post on his website that he was on vacation before leaving. Frank called Detective Vic Gigante and asked him to deal with Kick-Ass, but Vic refused because it wasn't part of his job. At the same time, one of Frank's men, Cody, was missing. Big Daddy and Hit Girl had kidnapped Cody and killed him after getting information about Frank's business. Meanwhile, Dave was enjoying being close to Katie, helping her with self-tanning. Katie mentioned it had been a week since she last heard from Rasul, and Dave nervously agreed. At Damon's house, a police officer named Marcus came in and noticed Damon's collection of weapons. Marcus used to be Damon's partner, but after Damon was framed by Frank, he was sent to prison for 5 years. This led Damon's wife, who was pregnant with Mindy at the time, to take her own life. Marcus took care of Mindy while Damon trained to become a vigilante and seek revenge on Frank. When Damon got out of prison, he reunited with Mindy and trained her to fight. Marcus argued that Mindy deserved a normal life, but agreed to keep their secret. Eventually, Katie learned that Rasul was dead and blamed herself for asking Kick-Ass for help. Dave comforted her, and she admitted she wished he wasn't gay. Back in Frank's office, Chris barged into the room and suggested a different plan to catch Kick-Ass. Chris dressed up as his superhero persona, Red Mist, and set up one of Frank's men as a fake criminal. After the news of Red Mist spread, he contacted Kick-Ass and the two met. Red Mist claimed he was inspired by Kick-Ass and wanted to be his sidekick. When Kick-Ass hesitated, Red Mist showed off his sports car and convinced him to fight crime together. He drove Kick-Ass to one of Frank's warehouses, where Frank's men were waiting to ambush them. Frank was pleased with Chris for convincing Kick-Ass to join him, but when they arrived at the warehouse, it was on fire. Kick-Ass followed Red Mist inside, where they found everyone dead. Red Mist grabbed a teddy bear from a shelf and ran out with Kick-Ass just as the building exploded. Chris returned and told Frank that Kick-Ass wasn't the real threat. He showed Frank footage from a hidden camera inside the teddy bear, which revealed Big Daddy killing Frank's men and setting the warehouse on fire. Frank decided to set a trap to catch Big Daddy, but Damon told Mindy it was time to finish things with Frank. Meanwhile, Kick-Ass decided to quit being a superhero, but before he did, he went to Katie's house to reveal his identity. Katie was shocked and sprayed him with pepper spray. Dave took off his mask and told her he wasn't gay, but was actually in love with her. Katie was surprised but forgave him, and they became a couple. Dave's friends Todd and Marty were left to hang out with Erica. Dave had been free from the troubles of being Kick-Ass for about a week when he saw spam emails from Red Mist, asking for his help. He told Katie what he was about to do, and then left to meet Red Mist. When they met, Red Mist told him that they were being blamed for the deaths at the warehouse. Red Mist convinced Kick-Ass to reach out to Big Daddy for help. So Kick-Ass posted on vacation on his MySpace page. While Damon and Mindy were checking out their new weapon, they saw Kick-Ass's distress signal and decided to meet him at one of their hideouts. Kick-Ass and Red Mist headed to the meeting spot, unaware that Frank's men were following them. Big Daddy didn't expect Red Mist to be there, but he allowed them both inside. Hit Girl was sitting by the window when they arrived, and she greeted them, but Red Mist shot her in the chest. She fell out of the window, and Big Daddy screamed. Frank's men rushed in, knocking out Big Daddy and Kick-Ass. Red Mist told them to let Kick-Ass go because he considered him a friend, but they still took him in the van. One thug took Big Daddy's bazooka, and Red Mist was dragged back to Frank. Chris confronted Frank, upset that his men involved Kick-Ass. Frank explained that Big Daddy was important for his business, but getting rid of Kick-Ass would send a message to others to stop trying to be superheroes. Meanwhile, the entire city was watching as the countdown to unmask Kick-Ass began. Katie, unaware of the danger, thought it was Dave's choice and was excited until the live feed showed Kick-Ass and Big Daddy tied to chairs, while masked men prepared to torture them. Marcus watched helplessly as Frank's men beat them both. They even poured gasoline on Big Daddy. Hit Girl, who had survived being shot, snuck into the hideout, turned off the lights, and attacked the men using her night vision goggles. One man set Big Daddy on fire, but even as he burned, he guided Hit Girl, helping her take down the remaining men. She tried to put out the flames, but it was too late. Big Daddy shared one last moment with her before he passed away. Hit Girl freed Kick-Ass, and they went back to their hideout. Dave tried to convince her to stop being a vigilante, but Mindy was determined to avenge her father. Realizing it was his fault, Dave agreed to help her. He took the weapon Big Daddy had recently bought and put together. At Frank's headquarters, his men were on high alert, expecting Kick-Ass and Hit Girl to show up. Mindy knocked on the door, pretending to be a lost schoolgirl. The guards, who didn't recognize her, let her in. She acted sad and told them she couldn't find her parents. One guard knelt to give her his phone, but she pulled out a gun and shot him. The others reacted too late, and Mindy quickly killed them. She changed into her Hit Girl outfit and took down the rest of Frank's men, using her speed and stealth. Kick-Ass arrived, flying with a jetpack and miniguns, and finished off the rest of Frank's men. In Frank's office, he and Chris listened, thinking their men had won. But Hit Girl and Kick-Ass barged in, ready to finish the fight. Frank ordered Chris to take on Kick-Ass while he fought Hit Girl. Kick-Ass and Red Mist faced off in a dojo, with Kick-Ass using batons and Red Mist wielding a wooden katana. They fought until both knocked each other out. Meanwhile, Hit Girl fought Frank, but he was a skilled fighter too. Frank's attacks grew more violent, and he slammed her onto a desk. He grabbed a gun and was about to shoot her when Kick-Ass appeared with the bazooka. Frank turned to aim his gun, but he wasn't fast enough. Kick-Ass fired, sending Frank flying out the window where he exploded in midair. Chris woke up too late to stop Kick-Ass and Hit Girl from flying off with the jetpack. They landed on a nearby rooftop where Hit Girl thanked Dave, saying her father would be proud of them. She then removed her wig and mask, revealing her true self. Mindy returned to live with Marcus and enrolled in Dave's school. Meanwhile, at a coffee shop, however, Red Mist, now dressed in a new costume, sat in his father's old office, planning revenge against Kick-Ass, Hit Girl, and anyone who stood in his way.